Now it is time to open up the Lesson Activity Builder and set up our activity objects. In order to open the Lesson Activity Builder, you go into this side panel and click on the puzzle piece. Now it says there are currently 0 activity objects on the page. However, we know we want these 10 squares to each be activity objects. So we'll select the first square. It says make this an activity object, and you click on Edit. As an activity object, the students will put words or numbers in here to match the number of circles in the square. We want to tell this activity box what the right answers are and what the wrong answers are. For the right answers, we tell it to accept those objects, and the wrong answers, we tell it to reject those objects. So for this first square, there's 1 circle in the square. So we can tell this activity box object to accept the number 1 and to accept the word 1. And you drag them both into this square over here. And as you can see, there are green checks because those are accepted. Now we want it to reject everything else. We could add it one by one and drag them over here, but it is much more efficient to click on Add All Remaining. And everything else that we did not select will go into this box down here, and it will be read as a wrong answer. Now click on the Settings tab here, and you can figure out and decide what you want to do when the student gets the right or wrong answer. In this lesson, I had it set up so that when they got the right answer, the answer would spin and it would play the object sound, which means it would speak the number. When it was wrong, the object would just bounce back. So we'll click on Done. And now it tells you there is 1 activity object on the page, and if you ask it to identify it, it will show you that it is the one that we just set up. Now we need to set up this second square. So we'll click on this square, and we want to make it an activity object, so we'll select Edit. Now we need to see what the correct answers are. There are 2 circles in this square, so we can either accept the number 2, which you can drag over here into the Accept box, or the word 2, which you can also drag here into the Accept box. And all of the other answers will be wrong, so we can tell it to reject all of the remaining answers. And again, click on Settings, and I'm going to have it spin, and I'm going to check this off so it plays the object sound. And I'm going to click Done. Now there are 2 activity objects on the page. And we'll set up 1 more, and then we'll move on to a different lesson and set those up too. So for this square, we'll click on it, select Edit. There's 3 circles in this square, so we can tell it we want it to accept either the number 3 or the word 3. Anything else is wrong, so we'll add all those remaining into the Reject Objects square. And we'll click on Settings. We'll click the drop down next to Animation, and we'll tell it to spin. And we will check off this box that says Play the Object Sound. Then click Done. Now I'm going to go back to the Pages view, out of the Activity Builder, and we can test it out. We told this box here to accept the number 1 or the word 1, and we told it to spin and speak the word. Anything else will bounce back. So let's try this number 8 here. If we bring this number 8 up, it bounces back because that's not the right answer. If we bring in this number 1, it speaks and says the word. Now in this second lesson here, there are a lot of pictures that we need to go through. So we'll open up our Lesson Activity Builder and go to the Side tab here. We'll click on the puzzle piece, and it tells you there's 0 activity objects, but we know that we want the 2 boxes to each be an activity object. So we'll click on the first box, which is the one under long vowels. We'll click Edit. And now we have to tell it to accept only the items that have long vowels. It's easy to go through and just find the items that fit, and then you can add all remaining to the rejection list. So nest, skip it. Kite, that's a long vowel, so we're going to drag it up here and add it in the accept. Phone, we'd like to accept too. Not cat, umbrella, or apple. Key is the long vowel. Cube, grapes, cone, leaf, heart, bike, juice, and snake. Everything else is a short vowel, so those answers would be wrong. So we're going to add those to the reject object box. We'll click add all remaining. And we'll click up here to the settings tab. Now these, they're going in a box, so I want them to fade out like they're actually going into the box. So I'm going to leave the animation on fade out. But I'm also going to click the little checkbox so that it plays the object sound. When rejected, we'll do the same. We'll have it bounce back. And click done. Now we'll select the other box under short vowels. We'll click edit and we'll do exactly opposite. And so we'll take all the short vowel pictures. We'll move those into the accepted objects. Elephant, sun, top, igloo, and socks. Everything else will be incorrect, so we'll tell it to reject all the rest of those objects. We'll go into settings. We want them to fade out, but we do want to check off play object sound. And we'll click done. Now we'll go back to the pages here and we'll test it out. Nest. This has a short vowel sound, so let's try to put it in the long vowel box and see what happens. It bounces back. Kite has a long vowel sound, so if we put kite in the box, kite, it disappears, goes in the box, and it speaks its words. Finally, our third lesson has many rectangles that we want to each be a lesson activity object because they're each going to have certain answers that are right or wrong. So we have to open our lesson activity builder. We go over here onto the side tab and click on the puzzle piece. I'm going to select this first rectangle and I'm going to click edit so it becomes an activity object. This rectangle here is the cell wall. So I'm going to find cell wall. I'm going to drag it into the accept box. Everything else is wrong, so I'm going to click on add all remaining in the reject box. We'll go up into settings, and I want it to stay there. I don't want it to fade out because I want them to see what they're labeling, so I'm just going to select spin. And we didn't add any sound to this page, so that's going to stay the same. And we'll hit done. Now we'll go into the next rectangle. We'll click edit. This is pointing to the cell membrane, so we'll drag that over here into the accept box. We will reject everything else. We'll check the settings. We want the animation to spin. We'll click done. And you can just keep going from there and adding all of the rectangles as activity objects. Now just to check, we'll go back to our pages view. We'll find cell wall. Well, let's drag it over here first so I can keep scrolling up. We'll drag it in and it spins. It's correct.